Yes, thank you, Rick. Um, it's a pleasure to be here or to see everyone, and I'm excited to be reading with Tirzah. Thank you. And it was an interesting experience preparing for this reading because I kept wanting to prepare toward Lorine Niedecker's poems and toward what was influential to me from her work. And also I wanted to read new poems. And also I wanted to read things that felt immediate and maybe felt further away. And I just ended up thinking about that experience. When you love a poet, when you get close to a poet, all the different stages of being influenced by them, caring about them, relating to them, and that it's so often, I think I was doing what I think happens a lot, which is looking for things that had formal similarities or content similarities, and then realizing that there are all these other ways in which she in particular, like ways of being in the world and letting the world be in the poems, ways of letting her reading be in the poems, ways that seem in the process over time to have been influential over time and have no one would say, oh yes, you've been reading Niedecker when they look at any given thing, but but so often I have been. And I brought this. I thought, I'm not going to read a poem by her, but I thought I would show a picture. I like that you can do this on the Zoom. There you go. This is from a little book called Epitaphs for Lorine. And I think it's many poems, writing poems for her after she passed, or a little book of those, and having some experience of responding to having read her, known her. And I got all prepared to talk about that so I could read things that were very different, and then kept wanting to read things that weren't. So now I'm going to read things that I think were influenced. Thank you again. I'm going to read some poems. It's nice to see all of you. I know many of you, and I was like, oh, look, the puppy Lola has just appeared in the screen. And now that the mic's on, I can say, hi, Mom. Okay. I'll start with a little batch of poems with the title Firefly. Each day, firefly in bedroom coming down. Each day, fogs coming into the house. Each day, toads and their hidden croakings exposed. I attach tick-like to the grass, lice-like to the hair. I climbed before bed like a spider and dreamt after that of the web and the fly. Fireflies and deer's eyes, chuffing and sounding, family eyes and eyes in dusk, dark before the moon comes out. Ecstatic dozens in a moment flickering. Your soul's harboring big white puffs of light that you let go, usually jumping with your arms outspread. A breathing through the day, K sitting on the floor, K sitting on the roof, looking at the sky. Nothing else is there. Stars and arrows, signs and lines, if in languorous sequence you skipped so far away, if in desperate sequence, unhandled by the gods, have you, oh my goodness, have you toothbrush? Have you quiet living room to sleep in? I'm in a hotel room and for some reason the phone is ringing. I'm going to pick it up and hang it up. Sorry about that. I'm not sure how that happened. No one knows I'm here. Night bird outside, other bird outside, inside the house, mostly sleepers are the creatures. I must rest, but how will I rest? Another so close she could crawl into bed. Ghosts knocking doors, rooms, and people, the shock of having been in thin, alternating emblems displayed. Wishing that you were here, having come after you for that reason. Eastern skies open up before us. Fan, leaves, air, green color and clay, stairwell light and shadow of tree. Nothingly songs from birds and crickets, they're ticking. Early fly and bug get up. Late September, home with dome and got I wander. Freed from the regular functions of thought or care, I have fallen empty in my bed with the nothing that's left. Night full light in morning's fog for days. Entire river into town, branches and crystal dots, dear, lifeless, fragile things in street. Wet vegetables in basket, little piece of earth in ear, shrubs and grubs, I call it. Sage made or TV waves on the way. Such is life, they say, a guzzling great patch at my nape. I flop and flop my head on the pillow. Shady puddle-like stains in the firmament. Open port of sky echoing off mountains. Into the cosmos we sent calls on relaying. Fractured plaques, the imprint of our time. Okay. Now I'd like to read a newish poem. Well, I was going to say that I've never read, but I see one person in the audience. I've read it to Lisa. I've read it once. I've read it to myself a lot. It's called The Silent Retreat. A bit of quiet stitched the hills, lake, cloud, mountain, and the sun undone in layers daily. P writes, don't just rush home. Keep being where you're being. Remember, pull stopper drain world. The trees in the hills were rusty, falling, earthy too, and when I saw the bushy purple ones, I wanted to beat myself on the back with one or just use one to scrub out my mouth. Main thing is, I wanted to pull them up by the roots with my fingers and use them. What a casual deity, painting and plucking and wanting from the world such thingy things. Pure bright leaf full of silence and gone. But glass windowed was my spiritual niche, so hopped in my car and got going. Just into town, the tow truck said Metcalf, and there was a hearse bombing around in the same floral glory. I saw an upper crust hand-holding lovers singing the truth, clip, clop, clip, clop. Big bags of seed and grain, flat rivers beside puffy cattails sway. There's that hearse again. The gripping sunlight warms my unmasked face. My car heats up like an old stone oven, birdless fountain ponds, and an earnest fellow tromping around in the leaves with an old camera. Recreational aircraft circling dried cornfields, little horses that seem special, furry and lamb-like, barns bowed by sunlight, rain, and time. My excuse, it turns out, was simply that I would see things. I was so happy to go, I nearly ran over the charming goodbye sign, still blushing. The smooth curve of the circle the junk truck bounced around, and soft as day fluff, the road moved on. I'm back in Columbia County, breeze riding, no account, ears stuffed, okay. No longer sleeping on empty floor in afternoon, some rough blanket in middle of room. Now I'm writing it down by the fire in my own home. I miss the strangeness and distance already, cold herbal tea all the time and not speaking. In the sun, in the air, joyously listening. More world than American tinky poety boo. Barely, but that's okay. At least I'm naked, there's a fire. Who knows what animal could wander in tonight? I press the little petals all year long, and there it is. A cat came by, hunting a mouse in the twilight, no less. Who says memories are the most steadfast aspects of our being? As this poem has to some extent promised to give count of the daily doings, 1, slate gray junco on patio. 2, the question as to whether a bird will land on the hammock has been answered. 3, Carolina wren, just wily, no nest. Sparrows come to the yard in bunches, last light frames and squiggles like a movie from the 60s. What's that poem? Where's my poem? Where's that poem I was supposed to write C? Ah, yes, Richard Rowley, Hermit. All the questions and answers to everything else. Wantings and brandings, symbolical crashings down of godlight. Open your eye, friend. Open your eyes, friend, for soon you will be inside, rolling through the fire of love, imagining yourself lamb, angel, tear, trumpet, searching for your thoughts on warmth, finding mostly flames and ruin. As out of all the clamor, as out of all the various clamor comes glow, true but not being, while here on my back the being is just behind my head. Tweet and stream, quiet, empty branches and dead bramble. Possible joy concludes hardy in the chaos, battled and bathed and then put in the dirt. Human blanket, human match, human sun, human shadow. Moving now, my body all cramped up, I know not why. It is I, says the sun, goodbye. This poem is called Got Your Message. My friend of mine said, ooh, it's very grumpy. I like it. Got your message. Flights and fancies belittled again. Is that what you think? Wood growing, wood cut, wood burning, smoke smelling up the otherwise fragranceless air and the heat. Check done over. Do not write me, you say, about your fascination with wormhole design abstractly accomplished in some dumb log. Do not scrape soot stains along your letter so I can't read all the words. Do not look up and describe the neighbor's inadvertent reflecting, for it is meaningless and partial to you, and to me it is even less. I beg you, don't describe it. If you were to be taken seriously by me, you must act seriously. Flighty and fancy are not interesting, shiny and birdy. One must be earthbound for them to mean anything. Do not use silly words like birdie. Do not elevate your playfulness. Do not commit to language where firmer things reside. The world is full of nonsensities. Do not add more. Do not make up words until you have proven you can use the ones you got. Do not use got in such a ridiculous way. You received an education. What do you think that was for? The drowned are drowned, the sick are sick, the saved are saved. Walking through the woods is fine, but don't describe it like a croaking frog up all night with a need. There are books about woods. There are plenty of books about woods. Thoughtful naturalists, observant scientists, those who know. If you have described for me some common tree in your yard and expect me to relate, I do not. There is a tree in my yard as well. How does that make you feel? Birds flutter on my tree too. Okay. We have two more poems. This one was made, okay, I hope this is okay. My mother, who happens to be in attendance this evening, was painting my portrait. And one of the things that I noticed was that everything would be silent, almost completely silent, for the entirety of a session of painting. And towards the end, she would begin speaking, often to the painting directly. I think to the art gods, to herself, and to me on occasion. And that would usually happen right towards the end of when I was sitting for the portrait. And so after noticing this, I went back and while I sat for the portrait, I would transcribe when she started talking. So this poem, which is in 4 parts, is called The Portrait. And she wrote all the words. Day 1. Nope, there's nothing to look at. It doesn't look anything like you. Doesn't look anything. Are you? Nothing. I don't like it. Okay, give me 2 minutes. Okay, it's just not you at all. No. Okay, it's terrible. See, I don't know about the glasses. But you were looking down. Okay, we'll leave. It's terrible. We'll leave it and start again tomorrow. I can't make out where your face starts and your beard begins. I just don't know. Okay, it's nothing. I got none of you here, but tomorrow we can work on it. Tomorrow I'll measure everything better. All right, I don't know. We'll figure it out tomorrow. Day 2. I haven't got you yet. I'm just trying something different. I don't know how I'm going to do your hair. You're not going to like it. 5 more minutes and then you're free. Is that all right? It's too big. I'm sorry. I lost it. You're a very good model. Maybe, no, nah. Okay, just a second. No, this is not right. Just a second. You're not going to see yourself. I'm sorry, but I think it's better than yesterday. Maybe you will. It's very different. Okay, enough. Oh, I messed it up. This is how it goes. Too much beard. I've got to try and get rid of some of that. Oh, wait, you might see something of yourself. This beard looks red. I've got to get rid of it. The beard, anything. Well, all right for today. Day 3. I need you to stay still so I can measure. Is this okay, good. Heads tilted a little too much. That's good. That's good, honey. I have to get rid of this. Your mouth. I'll be all ready. I'll get it back. Shut. Sorry. God, I had it, but I'm gonna leave it. No, I didn't take it out. I think the best thing to do is come back to it. But it's not flattering at all, which makes me sad. Better, maybe, look, it's Josh. I want to, okay, no, I'm going to stop for now. All right, you can look. It just never comes out quite as good as I want it to. It's only been a few days of sitting, and the first day didn't look anything. Now when you're smiling, I'm seeing something else. Just a second. Okay, let it go. Still at it. You've got to leave the room if you want the session to be over. Day 4. I didn't ever give you a break. Models get breaks. All right. Okay. I don't know what I am doing with this shirt. Okay, we're done. Okay, for today. Okay. Okay. Not my best. Not my worst. Okay, down. I can't. This is the best I'm going to be able to do, and I am not happy about it. Not good. Okay, good enough. All right. Not the worst. Not the best. Not the worst. Oh, and then again, because we're on Zoom, I can do this. Okay, and I'd like to finish with a, well, I was going to say a poem I found of a similar family sort. What I found is the place where the poem, where I found the poem. It's called Early 1984, and it seems to have been a diary that that maybe a teacher had requested me to keep. Dad got a sled for me and Randy. It's great. My Aunt Arlene came and she got me an art set. I like it a lot. Sean came over and we played Monopoly. He won. We had Chinese food. I had a great time. I got my new handlebars. I like them a lot. Today I went to the YMCA. Jeff and Colin came too. It was fun. We went to my grandpa and grandma's house. It is in Florida. We went to Clearwater Beach. The water was cold. I got to play Trivial Pursuit with my family. We had teams. My team won. I went bike riding and saw an alligator. We came home from Florida. Today I was drawing and I had a lot of fun. I rode my bike all day long. It was a lot of fun. I saw my Aunt Libby and we had a picnic. I went to art and I had a lot of fun. I went to Hebrew school. I hurt my ankle. I met kids near my street. We rode bikes all day. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Joshua. And now Jordan Dunn will introduce Tirzah Goldenberg. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joshua. Can you guys hear me okay? That was beautiful. Your portrait poem made me think that perhaps that was like a perfect transcription of what it feels like to be a parent. Or like, at least that's what I was thinking when I was listening to it. So I have the distinct pleasure of introducing Tirzah Goldenberg, who'll be our second reader today. Tirzah Goldenberg is the author of Aleph and Like an Olive, both published by Verge Books. This is Aleph and this is Like an Olive. I like the way those words are similar to each other. They're both beautifully published by Verge Books. She's working on a new book that includes a long erasure poem of her great-grandfather's 1931 text on the history of Philadelphia's markets. Originally from the Philadelphia area, where she was raised in an Orthodox Jewish community, Tirzah now lives in Port Townsend, Washington, where she works as a freelance editor of fiction, nonfiction, and poetry manuscripts. With reference to Lorine Niedecker, both Goldenberg's and Niedecker's writing pays particular attention to the individual word, where the sight of the word simultaneously serves as a linkage and as a referent, as a playful pun that stirs the present imagination, and as a portal into deep cultural knowledge and intimacy, where nothing is wasted, where the lyric is clarified, and where the homemade is embroidered with sunlight and thrift. At least that's how I imagine them being compared when I read both of their poems this morning. I guess on a personal level, it's been a pleasure to get to know you, Tirzah, over these past years. I had the opportunity to publish a chapbook of hers with my small press right before the pandemic, and it started off a really nice correspondence that sort of helped carry me through. And so I'm honored to welcome Tirzah to read today, and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Jordan. So kind. And it's so nice to see you. And thank you, Joshua, for the beautiful reading. I'm excited to read with you today. And thank you, of course, to Chuck and Rick for inviting me, and everyone for being here. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Just yesterday, my husband and I were wandering into town, and we stopped at a yard sale, and we rummaged around for a bit. And the guy whose house it was, he was sitting on his stoop, and he said to us, I love watching people look through books. And we got to talking, and we were speaking about books and poetry. And my husband, Rico, brought up Lorine Niedecker's Immortal Cupboard, what she called her collection of books. And I remembered how much I'd always loved that pairing of hers. She had, on the one hand, timelessness, and on the other, furniture, hominess, being home. And I think that's much of what I respond to in Niedecker's work, that particular mixture. I'd love to begin by reading a couple of her poems, or maybe just one poem. I don't know what we have time for. From, I don't know if you can see this lovely copy of T&G. This was a gift from my friend Caroline about 10 years ago. The inscription is from May 2nd, 2013. And so I'd love to read a poem from here to begin. See if I can find it. This is the one. Who was Mary Shelley? What was her name before she married? She eloped with this Shelley. She rode a donkey till the donkey had to be carried. Mary was Frankenstein's creator, his yellow eye, before her husband was to drown. Created the monster nights after Byron, Shelley talked the candle down. Who was Mary Shelley? She read Greek, Italian. She bore a child who died, and yet another child who died. I'm going to read all new work, but I will begin with one poem from Like an Olive, because it is currently the Jewish Harvest Festival of Sukkot, or Sukkot, and this is a Sukkot poem dedicated to my brother and sister, Joshua and Shifra. Bala Kinwood riddled etrog, hut of the ritual, et mole the middle wood. We passed gazelles and spiced hills, besamim. My spine is date palm, my heart citron, from being from. The moon burst many seals in the hutted atmosphere. Our father in a sweater eating soup. Mama Ponda, golden crab she got from Vidat. I, the idling old bellows sometimes. Utility of the air loom. May I weave a stranger species for you both called home, a riddle of the sycamore spherotic. Okay, new stuff. An heirloom confused with her own time was for an afterlife supplied her. E.g. expand, ing mem sophit. Even a min book has pleats. Her tools, her bell, O's pleats. Now all's flush for print. Or Rachel Kaufman in the archives. Don't the letters tell tall tales? Whether elfin like the book they're in, or few but all the page. Their secrets so commensurate with art. Their lives, their very penmanship. They're all but read. Or Billy Chernikoff, who writes, when I write, I am working on that last sleeve. Here's flax and finest fettle, complete and pleated where the elbowed been, or nettle, where one completes a fairy tale and one completes a tomb. One's green sleeves are antiquest, one's finished tunics not quite yet. For Carol Pagel. Whatever he said of mermaids, remember that. Remembering is made of mermaids. Remembering can take the dual shape of however she's been rendered. In his private journals on the sea, in her image in the port, on the postcard a Jurup brought back now tucked inside my book. Wherever she is, she's an image of imaginary being in a book. And when I thought I remembered, I heard the statue had been vandalized, you said, of course. Wherever a woman is in public, she's been vandalized. And here's my little fairy tale to remember the golden statue of what you said. Or Elise. Yes, and with a timeliness not altogether quick, diminishing into the dimensions, say, of an object furnishing a book, a sail appearing without fail in a pupil, a seaworthy tale, a salty one, socked in. So time is ushered in. So the boat gets turned around, So you get yourself to the boatyard, to the painter who'd paint her, like the mast, like good and scratched, like the body blended with the body's garden rescued, the face so like, so unlike, and so the fullest semblance must be the moon's, cycle tattooed, must be her leg like in an almanac told. Permission be given to see her partly. This one's called Woman Furnishing. That a famous library has been cursed by a woman is a matter of complete indifference to a famous library. Virginia Woolf, A Room of One's Own. Women should tell the truth. Susan Sontag, The Double Standard of Aging. You'll meet a man, his image familiar, made wholly of gold black letters, who'll say, I, embroidered by, am chiefly ornamental, but I am rule of conduct all the same. She made me before she made children. I live in a corner of her house, keeping fluent silence. My mouth means language. Everything about me means the ethics of speech. I say, do not speak ill of others. I mean also, do not speak ill of me. Between the two tamarisk trees, a woman will all too familiarly give her responsa, her she'elot uteshuvot, and furnish for herself a fictitious house. Here she may speak as she likes, plainly. Her voice flows like milk and honey. Her embroidery means nothing but what she means to say, and what she says she means, and never a sampler, but sampler upon sampler, upon sampler. The ceremony. The ceremony is mostly homegrown. We looked, we examined, we welcomed the child into the covenant of the Jewish people. The ceremony involves a cherry wood cupboard with a broken old singer inside it, and a reupholstered mahogany sofa where the child's mother had sat with her grandmother, the child's great-grandmother, on the original material many times. In the late 19th century, a woman's tie-on pocket, she had no integrated pocket, disappeared inside a sofa. It was later recovered, unembroidered for how many years? Someone must have thought to remove the cushions and examine the foundation. The pocket has since been restored to a private collection. The singer is not really broken. Only the mechanism for getting it up from its deep, dark hiding place in its deep, dark cherry wood is broken. Shabbos candles are kept upon the unpressed pedal, and in the drawers for notions, nothing. Now the child's paternal grandfather blesses the child's head with fluent speed. Now the child's maternal grandfather, though he holds the child in his arms, cannot understand the Hebrew the Jew in front of him has placed upon her head. The upholsterer had done a fine job with the sofa, but he'd made a careless personal remark about the child's mother's blended name. May the life of this child, Tirzah Chana, be one of happiness, goodness, and wisdom. Mother took me to Denmark to be christened. Support her and strengthen her with the tree of life. Bring her close to your Torah. Teach her your commandments and show her your ways. There's a picture on the table of Mother and me the day I was christened. Help us to lead her in the footsteps of the righteous and incline her heart to the voices of those of our people who have been silenced. I have never forgotten my Danish. Tirzah in the Torah wanted an inheritance. I had an apple which the captain of the ship had given me, and I said, "Peel it," in Danish. As she has been brought into the covenant of our people, so may she grow into the life of the Torah, chuppah, and good deeds. As one thing is named after another, so a bellows pocket is named for its expansion pleats. Tirzah is for feminism, Chana is for Anne. Appraisal. Once upon a time, a golden crab was pawned. A woman needed a house, and she had this crab, a keepsake from someone who surfaced every 20-some years, and he brought with him his country, and he returned to his country alone. The house she got housed her and her family for years. It needed a ton of work, and it never got finished. It needed, among other things, a railing for children to keep them safe. Some people were appalled by its condition, but the others understood it for what it was. Disappearing into the cellar like the sea, the golden crustacean joined the detritus of the cellar. Its appearance could only be guessed at, its flaws appreciating over time. The crab, its golden promise, had gone to the bottom of the sea, worth its weight in gold in terms of symbol. One golden woman waded out. A crab nipped at her feet, and a crab floated past her dead, and a crab she caught for dinner, a Dungeness delicious and full of meat. The waiting woman wore on her finger what another waiting woman had worn on her finger, and this latter woman could only guess at the existence of the woman who came later, could only wonder at her needs. Whether she too would wear the circlet as reminder or exchange it for a deposit on a house. Here was the ultimate gift, a choice. One that made a whole lot of sense. Keep the heirloom because the heirloom's hard as diamonds, appreciating in symbolism over time, and safe as houses. Or watch it disappear inside a cellar, retreat like the detritus of a mind. Relieve the remainder of itself and be safe as houses. Risk forgetting the ultimate exchange. Words one woman said to another. Their relation. The knowledge that acknowledged not only a conversion, that said nothing of exclusion. The one-faceted sentence set in a setting you just don't see anymore. The marriage is that old as generations. So much has changed. So appraised the gemologist, the woman who knew the value of a circlet, held choice on the one hand as if it were an heirloom, and on the other. Two more poems. This one's for my dad, who might be here. What else could the decontextualized term mean but imageless coin? She kept her records straight. Yet for all that, the day's expression went, lessening from mint to mint. She was diligent. She hadn't any time. Time hadn't. It or she could not but let whole coinages go. Keep waterskins of someone else's waterskins, and parched papyri of her own. Let the deeds for the date orchard surface in time, and the scholar's mind take care of it. I get really parched when I read. Last poem. Overleaf. What's left already on the underleaf. The tail in the corner telling you turn back to where the letters are fine, where they're ever so finely lettered. Back where the only ascender exceeds somewhat the page, is Dybbuk-like. A lamed so lettered she's spinning yuds, like the woman in the corner at her wheel. The turned, the opened, the page showing damage is what I in the end have come for. I've not come for the street, to witness the era where he was unhappy, nor for the community afraid of a woman's body. But I buy their braided candle, drip wax just like them, and begin the week anew. No, I've not come for that, but have come for the artifact, the damaged book, but have come for the arson, that which coincidentally happened on Kristallnacht. Not for the fire, but for the water that quenched it and turned the few rare tablets back into their letterless mud, and then, through concerted effort, back into the mud-made letters. I've come, if you'll excuse the changeable metaphor for the furniture, specifically for the chair given to the guy who was bodyguard for the Jews, their rare texts. I've come for the guy who loved the chair, grew up with one just like it and so wanted it, specifically for the page I've of necessity turned from. Time shows through it and the letter. The letter has its quirks. Thank you so much.
I hesitate to even speak, Tirzah. Thank you. That was so wonderful to hear. And Joshua, both, is a beautiful hour to spend with all of you. I'm really grateful for the strange space we all shared for an hour today. And I hope to see you all again in some other space or this space again in March. We'll try to let you know or come to the Friends of Lorine Niedecker or lorineniedecker.org and find out what's coming up in North Central and Solitary Plover and other things we do. So thank you again so much to Tirzah and Joshua, and thanks to everyone for being here. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Thank
Joshua.
you.
So
Fantastic.
appreciate it. It was.
We come down to intimate company here.
Okay.
I'm gonna stop the recording, actually.
Yeah.